the inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. I'm Dan Hurley. The thing about a newspaper columnist is that the subject he or she writes about, politics, economics, sports, is just the opportunity to share their philosophy, their insights into the meaning and significance of life. Personally, I think it's unfortunate that the columnist's role does not translate well into television. Our best and most enduring local columnist, Paul Daugherty, writes for the Cincinnati Enquirer and is usually, but not always, found in the sports pages. Like any columnist you read regularly over the years, the reader learns a lot about their personal life. Paul has been amazingly transparent and vulnerable, especially when he has written about his daughter Jillian. And on Tuesday, Paul will release his newest book, An Uncomplicated Life, a father's memoir of a remarkable daughter. I am now joined by Paul Daugherty, father, Enquirer columnist, author, and Jillian Daugherty, Paul's daughter, fiance of Ryan, and also the manager of the basketball program at NKU, right?
Yes.
Did I get all that right? Good.
Yeah.
Welcome to Newsmakers. It's really good. It's really good to have both of you here. Paul, Jillian was born on October the 17th, 1989, and you wrote, "It was the last bad day," because you found out that Jillian has Downs. But you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. How long was it though before you could have written that sentence?
Actually, probably after just a couple of days, Dan. You grieve a little bit, you cry a little bit, and then you kind of strap your boots on and get to work. She was our daughter, and we were going to make Jillian the best Jillian she could be, and we set about doing that almost as soon as humanly possible.
Okay. Jillian, I want to start out with you. I want to show you a photograph that was taken by the Enquirer, and it shows you and Ryan at graduation a couple of years ago, I think 2013, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at you. I think you're probably looking at your parents, and I think that reveals something about your personality. You're smiling, you're letting them know something. So how would you describe yourself? When you think about who Jillian is, your dad's written this whole book, but if you had to explain yourself to somebody, what would you say?
I would say myself is it's really fun, and I kind of feel happy that I graduate, but I still miss my friends and miss my parents. They're mostly my brother, so.
So family's really important to you?
Yeah.
Parents and brother?
Yeah, and even my fiance too.
Yeah, I would
Even
suspect.
him too, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that comes through in a lot of your father's columns and you know, a lot of what he has written in the book. You know, Paul, you've when you started to think about writing columns and now a book about your daughter and the challenges that your family and have flipped into opportunities, before you wrote that first time about Jillian, did you talk with your wife? What did you have to think about before you started writing publicly or speaking publicly?
I think the first thing I wrote about Jillian publicly was in Cincinnati Magazine.
Yeah.
And it was probably 2 or 3 months after she was born. And the only reason I did that was the editor at the time, Laura Pulfer, had asked me, would you consider writing about Jillian? It had never occurred to me. And even with the book, Dan, it didn't occur to me that she was a book. I just had so many people telling me that she was that I went ahead and did it. There's kind of a fine line with that. I love writing about Jillian, and I've also written about Kelly, my son, but you don't want to be exploitive. You
Right.
don't want to overdo it. You don't. So I've picked my spots over the years. And most of my memories are because of my wife. She remembers everything. Jillian remembers just about everything. I remember next to nothing. So without their
So you're
help,
not the
nothing
historian.
would have gotten written. No, my memory, no, I can't remember where I put my keys in the morning. So no, their memories have greatly aided and abetted anything I've ever written about her. So we try to pick our spots. A couple of times a year, or big events. If Jillian graduates from high school, or she graduates from NKU, or she gets engaged, I'll write about her in the paper. But I'm really careful, conscious about not overdoing it.
Mm-hmm. Jillian, you are engaged now. You're engaged to Ryan, and one of the great columns that has always stuck in my memory is the column your father wrote about your engagement, you and Ryan, and how Ryan asked him if he could propose to you before he proposed. Tell me about Ryan. How did you meet? Who is he? What kind of guy is he? And what's he do?
Actually, he's also go down on NKU as well. He's a head manager for baseball, and he works at Kroger's. We live right now. We live in Harper's Point. So his job is closer, so he could walk to work every morning.
So do the Krogers across the street there?
Yes.
In Harper's Point? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's not close to where you live, right? You're really out on your own?
Yeah. And I moved out a couple of days ago.
A couple of years ago.
A couple of years, and I've been with Ryan about 10 years. So.
That's right.
Did you meet in school?
We meet soccer. We used to play top soccer. His dad was coach.
Ah, okay. So sports plays another role here.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So,
Yeah.
Paul, you've written about some of the challenges of raising a child with Downs, particularly when it comes to some of the institutions in our society, say schools, and the challenges of helping the professionals, the teachers, really understand what the potential is, what their responsibility is.
Right.
Talk about that a bit. What did you learn from all of that? What could you pass on to somebody?
Carrie and I, my wife and I, used to consider ourselves as kind of the latter-day Daniel Boones. Dan, you kind of run up against old ways, old theories, ways of looking at things, doing things. As with any institution in life, I think it takes a while to evolve, to change. We like to think that we did a lot of work on Jillian's behalf that now helps other parents of kids with disabilities maybe have an easier path through the school system. It was basically a matter of us making sure that they obeyed the law. Some were terrific. Jillian's had some terrific teachers. I think most were very good. There were others that were just kind of resistant over the years, and ultimately you tell them, whether you like it or not, this is the law, and this is the education to which she is entitled. And I've always said that the key to understanding Jillian, or any person with a disability, is to see them and not look at them. A big difference. Seeing them requires participation, it's active. Looking at them is not. See them for who they are. Don't look at them and judge them by what they look like. And once you get past that hurdle, and people who've gotten to know Jillian, who've taken the time to know her, figure out that they get as much from the transaction as she does. But getting to that point with some people has been difficult.
Did you have some favorite teachers growing up?
Well, I have one favorite teacher that I know. One of the players who used to play with us, his uncle, I used to do golf class.
Oh.
And I think I forgot his name. And it was Charlie's uncle, and he's one of the best teachers I ever had.
How about Mrs. Krosky?
And her too.
Nancy Krosky deserves special mention. She was your fourth grade teacher, and to this day, she and Jillian are friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes those bonds, you just stay with a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have friendships with some of my particularly high school teachers who made a lot of difference, and some college teachers.
And I have actually I have two favorite teachers in high school. One is Mrs. Crosby is a fourth grade teacher. I like in high school. I like it's my mom. I used to have gym class with my mom. I had to have my brother because my mom is also a really tough and really smart teacher that I know.
Ah, okay.
She taught at Loveland High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mom's right behind the cameras, isn't she? So you didn't just say that because she's right there. I'm sure you said that because she really is a really smart and really good teacher. Paul, why'd you write this book at this time? What, I mean, you've been writing columns. I've heard you speak. You know, why put it all together in this book?
Well, like I said before, Dan, people told me to. It never occurred to me that Jillian was special. She was just our daughter, you know. Everybody thinks their kids are special. You know, what's so special about her? But people told me to. I did it at this time because it was sort of an end of one cycle. The original intent was to get her through high school, write about her high school graduation. But with other duties associated with the job at the paper, it takes longer and longer to write the book. You don't have a lot of concentrated time. So it ended up being, you know, we're gonna get to the point where she is out of college and living on her own. So that's how it evolved, and that's where we ended it. When you move out.
And do you think it's part of your hope that other parents with a wide range of different kinds of children might pick this up?
No question.
And learn some things?
I'm not a philosopher. I'm not an expert on raising children. I was just an expert with a lot of help on raising mine. And I know that this will help parents of kids with disabilities. I hope that there are lessons in the book that are universal, that will apply to everybody who has a child, you know, which is most of us. So that's the hope. We'll see how it goes.
Jillian, you've mentioned a couple of times you have a brother.
Yeah.
Older brother, younger brother?
Older brother.
Older brother. And, you know, brothers and sisters can have all kinds of relationships.
Yeah, my brother and I are very close.
Are you?
Yeah, sometimes a brother and sister was a little bit out of control, but I mean, okay.
Yeah, so you guys, the two of you are close.
Yeah.
And you still, does he live here in the area?
No, he used to go to Ohio State, but now he goes to New York City. So now he's just on his own.
Does he call you up, check in on you?
Sometimes he does. He did not talk to me for a while, so he just called me and say hi, say what's going on.
Good.
So
what are your plans right now? And I know one of those plans is you're going to be getting married, right?
Yeah.
So what are your plans? How do you look at the future?
I would say just look up for myself, including my fiance. Maybe get married. After that, we going our honeymoon. So I just like just be just be me.
Just be you.
I just like everything about me, and
Yeah.
to keep my dad keep laughing. So
You think you can keep him laughing?
No lack of self-confidence, Dan, you understand.
That's right. Well, we were talking before, just as we were before we got started, that you like to go to the Reds games.
Yes,
with
I do.
your dad. But
Yeah.
some of the other games are more problematic, but you like the Reds games.
yes,
Who do you particularly like on the Reds?
mostly I really like Scott Rowland.
He's not there anymore.
Well, he always been my player, but I know he's not there, but he's still my player.
You mentioned somebody before to me. You mentioned Joey Votto.
Yeah, he's still my guy.
Do you think Jillian's liking Joey Votto affects what you write about Joey Votto? Because I've read a lot about what you've read.
Not in the least, Dan. No. I like Joey Votto. It's always been pretty good to me.
Yeah. Good, good. Well, congratulations on the new book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
getting with the wedding and the honeymoon and getting married. And it's good to be connected with the NKU basketball team because they're now in Division I.
Yeah.
And let's hope over the years they get better and better and end up in that first NCAA tournament, and you'll get to go with them.
Go.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah.
Okay. So, want to hold up the book real quick?
Yes.
Just so people can see it. An Uncomplicated Life. And it's a father's memoir, but it's about you. So it's going to be available on Tuesday, both in bookstores and also
Online.
We think online. Paul doesn't seem to have any of the details worked out. So thank you.
I just wrote the book. I don't market it.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Dan.
Stay tuned. After the break, a grocery store for Northside with a twist.
The building that we're in is the old Save-A-Lot building. When the Save-A-Lot closed, there was only less than a week of notice to the community. When we learned that there wouldn't be access to a grocery store, the community got really concerned, and what do we do about this?
It's a food desert, basically, right now in Northside. People have to go out of the neighborhood to places that are a few miles away to get the things that they need, which increases the cost of the food. And
there's a lot of people here that don't drive.
Welcome back. This past week, Western and Southern announced that it intends to open a high-end grocery store downtown in response to the growth of middle and upper middle class residents. As important as downtown grocery may be in practical and symbolic terms, many lower income city neighborhoods are food deserts where residents have no easy access to healthy, affordable food. The residents of Northside are trying to do something about their situation, where the last grocery store closed in 2013. Using a worker-owned cooperative model, they are organizing the Apple Street Market. I am joined now by Kristen Barker, the board president of the Cincinnati Union Co-op Initiative. The initiative is grounded in a 2009 agreement between the United Steelworkers and Mondragon Cooperatives, which is based in the Basque Country of Spain and now has 80,000 personnel in 70 countries. That makes it the world's largest network of worker-owned cooperatives, which was recognized in 2013 by the Financial Times with its Boldness in Business Award, which I find really interesting. Welcome back to Newsmakers, Kristen.
Thanks.
This is another effort of CUCI.
Right.
I mean, this is not the only thing you're doing, the
Right.
Apple Street Market. You also live in Northside, so there's something personal about this. I lived in Northside for 12 years. A grocery store is really important, especially in a walking community, essentially walking community like that. So, okay, no grocery store. What's the approach? What's it mean to have a cooperative?
So this kind of cooperative is not just worker-owned, it's also community-owned. So members of the community, and that's defined really broadly, way beyond the North Side neighborhood. Anyone can be a part of it. So this is a way that neighborhoods can kind of take back the power when something like a Save-A-Lot leaves. It turns out Northside and many other neighborhoods are not prime real estate for grocers. They are challenging places because they're mixed income and have a higher percentage of lower income folks. And so when grocery stores run the numbers, they find that there's typically something called a grocer's gap. Instead of making a 1% profit margin, they usually are losing 4%. So it's really tricky to figure out.
Losing 4%.
Yeah, so there's a 5% grocer gap is what's considered then. So it's really tricky to find a model that can make it viable and can make it happen. But it's critical to do so because it's meeting people's very basic needs. When the Northside neighborhood grocery store Save-A-Lot closed, it became incredibly difficult for our lower income folks. It takes 2.5 hours via via public transportation to get to the closest grocery store.
And would the closest one be the Kroger's down in Mitchell?
Yeah, it is, which is actually only 1.9 miles away.
Yeah, but as the bird flies, it's not that far.
But the way public transportation works, and you go downtown and you get back there, it just really starts to add up.
Which, of course, is another issue that we got to change in this community.
Yeah,
but that's
transportation.
Another show,
I agree with
okay.
you very much. So even though it's a challenge, even though there's this 4% grocer gap, it's really important to figure out a model that can make it work. And excitingly, there's a group out of Philadelphia called Uplift Solutions that focuses on exactly that. How do you create a model? How do you figure out how to have a viable, sustainable, economically sustainable grocery store in neighborhoods? Because it's critical for health outcomes. It's critical for people's basic needs. It's just absolutely vital.
I pulled another clip from your YouTube video. Let's just take it. It's not very long, but it sort of addresses that very thing about how this model works. Let's take a look at that.
When we say worker-owned, we're talking about official employees of the cooperative who then also have an ownership stake. We're talking about having, employees who are well paid.
When workers actually own, receive part of the profit, they're incredibly motivated to be very responsive to customers, to figure out ways to run things as efficiently as possible. They're just very motivated. They give 110% because it's their business.
One of the different things about Apple Street Market is that we're adding the community owner element into it as well. And we think that's important because it's important to get the input of the community. What kind of products do they want to see in the store? What kind of store do they want to see?
So when people become...
So the issue here is on this community, the community can buy shares into the market, and the shares go for $100 or what a person can afford.
Yeah, or $10.
Or $10.
Yeah. So it's $10 if people qualify for SNAP or Medicaid expansion. It's $10. Otherwise, it's $100.
Okay. And if you don't have one of those shares, could you shop at the store?
Oh yeah. Anyone can shop there.
Anybody can shop
Anyone
there.
can shop there. But when you buy a share, you've helped create this awesome resource for the community. You've brought a full-service grocery store to life. You get selected discounts and profitable years. You get something called patronage refunds, which is a percentage back on what you've spent at the store. So there's and then you also get a say. I mean, you can run for the board, you can vote for the board, you get more, you can be more involved with the direction of the store.
Where do you stand with this effort? I mean, how far along are you? You've got the model, you got the idea.
Right.
The funding is always the trick.
Right.
How far along are you?
Well, things are in a very exciting place. We have a lot of really wonderful partners. So we have, at this point, 600 community owners, and our goal for that is 1,500 community owners. We have the Interact for Health has actually given $100,000. So I should say that our whole goal is $1.5 million to bring this to life. And that includes our opening inventory, our general manager, it includes all the leasehold improvements, our equipment, everything, $1.5 million. So to that end, we have $100,000 from Interact for Health. The building owner has agreed to give, in terms of contributed improvements or one way or another, $100,000 towards this effort. Cincinnati Development Fund is working on providing a low-interest loan, a maximum up to $1 million. We're doing a community owner gift campaign and loan campaign, and I think our goal is $150,000 or more. I mean, we would like to go even higher, but I think at this point we have $100,000, and then just to finalize all of our funding, we need to get to that really critical number of 1,500 community owners. So we're really close when you look at the whole scape.
I'm going to let people know how to get in touch with CUCI, but also with Apple Street Market and become one of those investors.
Yeah.
Final thing, though, and we're almost out of time, I want to make sure we recognize that this whole effort is also underwritten by the United Steelworkers, right?
Yeah, well, the steelworkers are really involved. The United Food and Commercial Workers are involved in this. But what I would say is we're doing everything that Uplift Solutions says for this to be an incredibly viable grocery store. The level of community involvement is critical, and we're taking everything they said, so we feel real excited about its prospects.
Okay. To learn more about CUCI, go to CincinnatiUnionCoop.org. To learn more about Apple Street Market, including buying a share, go to applestreetmarket.coop. So that's a little bit different, so make sure you take note of that. Thank you for being here this morning. Thanks for this work. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women shaping our community for the future. Have a good week.